Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to, I guess, Season 2 of the Expo and Excellence podcast. I'm your host, Frank J Costantino Jr. I'm here today with our one of our new chef instructors at Monroe College and a former student. We're going to get into, he's a long history here. We're going to get into that. Chef Nick Giambrone, it's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure being here.
Awesome. So I just want to get right into it. So.
Yeah.
I know you grew up in Long Island, but I know you went to Wilson Tech.
Yes,
but I want to know
Wilson Tech.
how you kind of got into the culinary. What enticed you to come into this industry, and how'd you go from there?
Yeah, so I was born in an Italian household. You're very familiar with
Yes,
that.
I am.
So I had an uncle. He inspired me to become a chef. Long story short, he had a little car accident. But before that, he inspired me to become a chef. He owned his 2 restaurants and a pizzeria in Maryland, and
Oh, wow.
I was inspired by that. And so when he passed away, I wanted to fill his shoes, and ever since about 12 years ago, ever since then, I'm filling his shoes now. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you actually did the America's Best High School Chef competition,
yes,
right?
I did as a freshman. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, I'm assuming you did some training at Wilson Tech for that.
Yeah, I did some. Well, Wilson Tech is a small culinary program on Long Island. So when I came here to do the competition, I was the only one doing the competition, and other schools had many competitors at the same school.
Mm-hmm.
So no one really knew Wilson Tech. They always thought that was the quiet school, or especially I was the quiet kid.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed to myself. But luckily, I placed 3rd place. Very happy. If I would have got a higher rank, I would have loved that. But I'll take the 3rd place.
Well, you have a lot of accolades since then, so I would.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So was coming here like your first choice? Was there something about this school that you were like, I need to come here? Was it the distance? What kind of led you to Monroe specifically?
I visited CIA. I visited that school. That school was good. It didn't fit my vibe. It was too much. It was very overwhelming for me. So when I came to Monroe, the first person I looked at and was very interested in coming here was the dean, Frank Costantino. As soon as I saw him, his vibe, his work ethic, I wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to steal some of that knowledge from him. So I definitely picked the school because of him, especially the competing as well. They have a good program, and I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to become a better chef, like everyone else would be coming here. So.
Yeah, so that kind of leads me to it. So you were an apprentice for the 2016 team. So
Yes.
what was the decision to kind of join the competition team? I mean, we have so many students, but not many make that choice.
Yeah.
And that's a very powerful choice to make. So what enticed that choice? And then how that journey kind of end up for you, because you were on the team for a long time now.
Yeah. It all started when I came to the school. They had a tryout to do a competition. I'm like, what, why not? It's a bonus. It's more learning. So I did the tryout. I got put on the team as an apprentice. About 2 weeks in, there was a little bit of drama. Of course, there's going to be a certain drama on the team.
Always is.
So I got put on the team as a freshman on the starting lineup. So my freshman year, we actually made it to states, regionals, and then we went to nationals for the first time. So me being a freshman, doing nationals, trying to figure out online assignments, that was very overwhelming, but I overcame that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the second year, I was also on the team. I was on the front line on the stove position. That was my second year. Unfortunately, we came into states. We got a gold medal, but we did not advance to the next round. The next year, my last year, I was on the team. But not on the starting lineup. I was an assistant coach. So I coached that team, and I brought them to the nationals while I was doing my own competition as the student chef of the year. Unfortunately, I didn't go to the next round. I came close, but all that was a great experience. I did my last competition at Monroe, and then the lead judge was Joseph Leonardi. He was a CMC and is still a CMC. He actually judged me on my main competition. I came in best in show, and hired me right on the spot to go to his country club in Boston.
Yeah. So what was that experience like? I mean, I even know Chef Leonardi well. He still comes out and judges some of our competitions.
Of course. Yeah, I know him very well. I've been there for about 2 years. So I was thinking, college, bringing all my knowledge to college into the, my first real, culinary job. The first 4 months was rough. It felt like a whole year. I'm not gonna lie. It was very overwhelming. I cried most nights. I stepped outside, but that actually made me grow more as a chef 100%. And a person, and gives you a thick skin.
Yeah.
So all that stuff, especially Chef Leonardi, he taught me you got to fail to succeed. If you don't fail, you will not succeed.
Yeah.
So
that's something
what I live by.
We always talk about that growing. You have to be uncomfortable in order to grow.
Of course,
if you're comfort, you can't grow. I mean, just rewinding a little bit back to Monroe. I mean, you're considered. I would consider you probably either tied for the most decorated competitor at this school. I think it's 12 gold medals across team and individual, and at least 10 around there.
I think I might be 14. I don't
14.
know.
Wow.
Yeah,
so what do you give that testament to? I mean, that's not someone that not anyone can come in here and even do that. Like the dedication, not just the skill, but the dedication it requires to do that. I mean, that's taking advantage of every single opportunity that comes your way.
Yeah.
So, and not everybody does that. I would argue that most people don't do that. Yeah. So that's kind of that path to excellence. So what do you really attribute that to? Is there something that always kind of kept you hungry? Is there something that kind of always kept you passionate? Like, I need to keep going. I need to go through this.
Yeah. Like I said, bringing back to Frank Costantino, he would ask me if I would want to do a dish or not, and I said, of course. And then he would ask me, he's like, are you sure? It's going to be a challenging dish. I'm like, bring it on. I mean, the more he talks like that to me, the more I want to do it. It's like it's because I'm the type of person that's like kind of mellow, very soft spoken. So you don't see those type of people that would step up and do it, but. I'm just like, no, give me every opportunity you can. Yeah. And at one point, I was doing 2 dishes at once, at the same time.
Yeah, that's, not many people do that.
Yeah, I was doing back-to-back in one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely Frank Costantino would definitely push me.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite, you've done so many, but do you have a favorite dish maybe of all the ones you've done, whether individual or maybe a course?
Oh, man.
Something that speaks to you? I know it's such a hard question.
It is a very hard question. I would say my last dish I did here. That was like a bittersweet moment. It was a trio, a Cornish hen. It was an Italian-inspired dish that me and Frank Costantino came up with. It was a stuffed Cornish hen, the breast, and then we used the Cornish hen thigh. We pan-seared that with a little arugula and tomato on top, and then there's a saffron puree with the drumstick, braised drumstick on top.
Oh, wow.
It was a trio. It was a very good dish.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, your experience, what made you kind of decide, was Chef Leonardi just enticing to go to the club?
Yeah.
What was kind of the story of, like, why were you like, I kind of want to do, like, this is the route I want to go?
Yeah. And again, I'm going to bring up his name again, Frank Costantino. He's done a lot for me. He actually pulled me to the side and he said, after your competition, I don't want to make you nervous, but, Chef Leonardi, he wants to talk to you. He's like, don't get nervous, but he wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay, yeah. So again, it was definitely him just pushing me to be my best and pushing me to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't say that to me to go take that job, I probably wouldn't take that job.
100%.
So it was definitely because of him.
So after you did SCOY, you actually, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of assisted and helped coach the next group of students?
Yes.
Yeah, how was that kind of experience, like having gone through it and then kind of coming back and watching a new group kind of settle out and unfold?
Yeah.
What was that experience like? And is that indicative of maybe a passion for teaching or something? Because now seeing where you've come to, it kind of seems like it comes full circle.
Yeah, for being assistant coach, I didn't expect it, but during practice, I would go on my own time, volunteering. I would just be there for no reason, I could be working somewhere and getting money, but I would be in the kitchen. I want to help these kids out. to become better. And chef one day just handed me a chef coat saying, my name on it, assistant coach. That inspired me even more. And I'm just like, you know what, I really want to stay here. I become, within these 3 years, I become very comfortable here. So me teaching them, competing, it kind of fell off a little bit after I graduated because I wanted to go other places. But when he called me back because they needed help, they wanted a teacher. I actually turned it down once. It was in the summer. I was working at a country club, working 6 days a week. I didn't have time to do it. And then he offered me another time in the fall. I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, if he's gonna ask me again, and if I say no, he'll probably never ask me again. So again, him giving me an opportunity, and I can't turn that down.
Yeah.
So normally, I'm very new to teaching, but I have a lot of knowledge to teach. So I think that actually could help me out. And I'm trying to change my career into trying to teach instead of being in the industry. The industry is very hard. It's very physical.
100%.
Yeah.
What's it like to come back? I mean, you're seeing a whole new. This is a little more far removed than when you were assistant coaching. I mean, those people you probably even lived with and stuff like that at the time. But coming back and seeing a group, a couple even more so years younger than you, and actually taking a teaching role to them, and they're looking at you as like, oh, that's my instructor, that's my teacher. How has been taking that role, and what's the differences you see in a lot of students now than you did maybe back then as classmates?
Yeah. It's a very, very weird feeling because I'm on the other side. All the students are looking at me instead of I'm looking at the teacher. It's very different. I have a different perspective in the kitchen. Back when I was in school, it felt like, we all knew everything as a student. But coming back here, and then I realized, all the students think they know stuff, but they actually really don't. So that got me into thinking okay, let me take it back. Let me go to step one instead of thinking all these students know what they're doing, but they don't. So so that I got to get used to that. I got to get used to talking more detail instead of just shortcut words. But yeah.
Did you have restaurant experience before coming to this school? Because some students, what I notice is that students that have restaurant experience and they come to Monroe, they kind of are like, all right, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Where it might not necessarily. A lot of the times, I feel like you actually learn more in what not to do in the industry, especially in entry-level positions, than what to actually do.
Okay.
I think you can learn more about maybe some bad habits that you pick up a lot from these local restaurants and stuff like that people work at. So did you have any restaurant experience beforehand, or?
Yes, I went to the country club in Boston for 2 years, and then after that, I came back. I worked at Uncle Giuseppe's. That's on Long Island, some parts of New Jersey. It's an Italian grocery store. They have baked goods, and then they have the fresh deli market. So that's what I was in charge of. I was the kitchen manager, and also I also had to manage a kitchen. And then I could see why people, when they have a job before and come here, they think, they know a lot. But, some people, like you said, have bad habits. Some people take shortcuts. The difference between the restaurant and the kitchen, the restaurant, they probably know more than the student. But, coming back to being a student, you got to know the basics, the first steps, and then you could figure out and make things shortcuts, but not half going with projects. You got to take it by step 1 to 2. You can't skip steps.
So teaching and being in that managerial role, I mean, you've done that before, not just as teaching, but you've been a kitchen manager, as you said. What's you feel like your biggest challenge, actually trying to manage a group of people want to become leaders? What maybe advice you can give to them if they want to actually start to manage people? What's the...
So you're going to experience a lot of different personalities. You're not going to experience all quiet kids or kids that don't want to do anything or the kids that talk a lot. That is a lot to get used to. I had to get used to that. But when you're a soft-spoken person, and then all of a sudden, when something hits the fan, then I gotta raise my voice. So usually when I'm a quiet person, I raise my voice. Everyone shuts down and he's quiet. So you definitely have to have that vocal point. You know, you can't always yell in the kitchen because then everyone's going to get used to you yelling in the kitchen. So that I got used to. But yeah, you definitely have to get used to different personalities. There's all, you know, all different personalities. So yeah.
Yeah, you talked about your country club experience. What was the most like really jarring like kind of thing that made some of those nights really like you had to work for it and like you had to really push yourself through?
Yeah.
What was it about the country clubs just in general, or how they all operate that makes it like kind of that more stressful than you might have not imagined going in?
It's definitely the standard. Also, it depends what kind of boss, you know, sous chef, executive chef you have. Me, luckily, I was with executive chef that he was a captain of the USA team, so you know he has very high standards and a very good work ethic. So I kind of rubbed off on that. Depending on where you go, some places you don't have a good work ethic, so that could affect how you are in the future. But definitely, especially at a country club, you know, your people that are members, you know, they're paying a lot of money for you to give out good food. So you should expect to cook good food for them. You know, you can't beat around the bush or anything like that. Definitely sanitation, organization, that helps out. That I think is step one, and then it's the cooking for me. So, yeah.
When people miss that, like a lot of people think they could just go into the industry like without any proper like education, especially like college. When it comes to like trades, like this is technically a trade, a lot of people are like, why even bother going to college? Do you think that kind of like that sanitation, those aspects are like what that groundwork is, like why these schools exist to kind of lay that groundwork?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, not many places, like when you go to a restaurant and you haven't gone to school before, they probably won't teach you the sanitation and those work ethics like that. They'll just throw you in and just be like, yeah, you do that, you do this. So if you didn't go to school, you probably won't know the basics. Because it feels like if you know the basics, then that tree branches off into everything else. So I think you should go to school, especially times like this. Most places are looking for an associate's or even a bachelor's degree. Yeah. So I think this day and age, you definitely need to go to college, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So where do you see yourself kind of going, like, in the next couple of years, like, in this industry? Like, where do you want to, like, end up in a couple more years?
Eventually, I would like to get a full-time position at this school. So if I do that within a couple years, maybe 5, 10 years, maybe plus, my dream goal is definitely opening up my own place. Not like an empire, but definitely like, you know, a 40-person restaurant. Definitely, you know, not a lot of items on the menu. It's not going to be like a diner that has 80 items on it. The less items, the better the quality of the food. All I want people to do is just eat the food and enjoy it. Yeah. You know, that's, you know, a good atmosphere, a good experience of eating. That's all what it's about.
Would you consider it more like upscale, like a fine dining establishment, or maybe something not quite there?
Something in the middle. Okay. Like I don't want like a fast food, or I don't want like an elegant fine dining, because most people, you know, this day and age, that not a lot of rich people are out there. Yeah. So I want to go for the people that what's mostly out there. Yeah. What's mostly popular. Like for an example, like I don't want to do anything like this. Like you know how Chipotle that blew up. Yeah. You know, something like that. Like I want to make something in a restaurant that it could just blow up into something new and be like, wow, that's something new that's never came up with, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So going into actually I was going to ask this. Yeah. Do you have a cuisine that you would base your restaurant off of? Is there something that would be Italian? Is there something that
yeah, it's funny how you say that. So yeah, I worked in an Italian market, so I definitely know how to make Italian cuisine. And then my old country club I recently worked at, I was in charge of the pizza station, so they had their own pizza bar. And then after that, I was in charge of just making all the pastas, stuffed pastas, homemade pastas.
Oh, wow.
So I guess that, you know, my life kind of just like threw me into the Italian cuisine. Yeah. So Yeah, it might be Italian cuisine, not fine dining, but just more modern.
Yeah, a little more upscale, something that is affordable for the average person
Of
to kind
course.
of go in and respect,
Yeah, yeah.
but
That-
you know,
yeah.
nothing too low that it's like just
Yeah.
fast food or anything like that. That's
Yeah.
really respectable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just getting to our natural thing, that usually the final question I always ask everybody is, what is the best advice that they could give to really anybody that wants to get into this industry at any age? You know, you have so many accolades behind you. You have everything is so, like, the amount you've been able to accomplish in just a couple years of not only being at the school but even after is really impressive. You know, and that has to be a testament to something. So what do you say to like those kind of rising chefs, whether they're freshmen or they're just getting out into the industry, or maybe they want to come into culinary school? You know,
Of course.
we want to give people that path. So what do you feel like allowed you to keep on that path?
Yeah. Well, first, I would think about, like, what do I want? What do I want to be in the future?
Mm-hmm.
You know, for example, fine dining, then I go that route. Fast food, I'll go that route. So that I think about that, and then I would think about, if I'm a student, I would think about what college I want to go to. What's the most comfortable college for me?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also surround myself with people that I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to surround myself with people that like are going to bring me down. You want to surround yourself with people that you want to bring you up, and that you'll learn the most from, and you basically, like, you want to be a sponge. You want to absorb all the information that you can. For me, how it helped me out is that I'm very quiet and I'm observant. So, for example, like in the kitchen, I want to go to the most knowledgeable chef that I know. Go near them, you know, be side by side with them, work with them. Volunteer your time to work with them. Be observant, but definitely be a sponge. Ask questions. Like, it doesn't hurt to ask questions. Not a lot of people ask questions. But ask as many questions as you can to the person that you want to become.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think it's like a fear thing, or you think it's just a disinterest when people just don't want to ask, like they don't know and they don't feel like asking?
I think it's both. It might be more of a fear thing. I mean, if it's more of a disinterest, then, like, if it's a disinterest, like, then why are you here?
Yeah.
You know, like, because, like, most people, I hope most students aren't here just to be here.
Yeah.
I want them here to be like, you know, I want to make a career out of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I wanna go to my chef, ask me as much questions as I want, and be observant, be a sponge.
Yeah.
That's all. That's
100%.
Yeah.
That's advice I think everyone should take, even outside of this industry, right?
I know,
you go to
yeah.
the best person, you're kind of like, well, how'd you get to be that? You know,
Yeah.
If you want to eclipse that, that's how you're going to go. All right. And with that, this will bring us to a conclusion of, I don't know what episode, so I'm going to say Season 2, Episode 1 of the
Nice.
Expo and Excellence podcast.
Nice.
And we will be back every Friday, 8 p.m. for the remaining of this semester. We will be back regularly once again. Thank you so much
Nice.
for coming on, Chef Nick
Yes,
Giambrone.
thank you.
And we're out.